Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday. We're going to get started in just about 1 minute, but in the meantime, go ahead and take an opportunity to say in the chat box, what is your favorite thing about fall? So in Charleston, the weather is A+ perfect here today. It's gotten me into the fall spirit, so we're curious to see what you all love about fall too. And then we'll get started in just a minute. All right, just a few shout outs in the chat box. It looks like we're all excited about the cooler temperatures, and the changing leaves is very beautiful this time of year. Dwayne said rabbit hunting. That's cool. I didn't even think about that one. Shout out to Jake Blackall. He said campfires. I totally agree. And let's do one more. Tammy Lane says sweater weather, and I cannot agree more. So thank you all for taking a second to think about what you're excited for this fall. It gets us in the spirit of today's webinar, which is going to be really fun and laid back. And we're super grateful for you all for joining us today. So to introduce ourselves, my name is Dana Bryant. I'm the Outreach Officer here at Volunteer West Virginia. I'm joined by Christina Cochran. She's going to be behind the scenes today, helping with our slides. And we have a special guest that we normally don't have from our staff, Gina. She's a dear friend of mine, and we worked together for almost 10 years. She is our Disaster Services and Planning Lead, and she's going to be leading our Ready West Virginia portion of today's webinar. So that's who we are, and we have a few other special guests, and I'll introduce them when the time is right. So if this is your first Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday, welcome. This is our monthly webinar series where we explain our programs, network, provide trainings, and most importantly, have fun. So the next hour will be just really laid back and relaxing. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and I'll respond to them for you. So we just have a few more webinars coming up this year. Can you all believe this year is almost over? I cannot. So I know you all are going to want to attend our November training. It's our grant writing training. This is our most popular training that we do every year. Last year, we had over 200 people sign up. It's going to be a 2-hour training with Nikki from the Grant Advantage. So you're not going to want to miss this. If you see our announcements for our in-person grant writing training, it's the same trainer, but this is a free version. So be sure not to miss it. And then in December, we always like to end the year with holiday wellness and stress management. So that'll be really fun too. So if you haven't registered yet, be sure to go to our website and sign up. In October, you may notice we are not having a webinar, and we decided to take the month off, and we're going to reschedule that topic for next year. So this month is National Preparedness Month. All throughout the month of September is a great time to take little steps to get prepared in your home and in your community. So that is our topic today and what we're going to be talking about. So today we're going to be talking about everyday preparedness tips with Gina. She's going to share some really great practical tips that she's assembled for us to get prepared. And then we're going to be meeting Krista Farley from the American Red Cross. Krista's wonderful. We've worked together for quite a while, and she's going to be sharing a really interesting topic, which is pet preparedness. And then she's going to share a few ways you can volunteer for the Red Cross. So that'll be really interesting. And then we're going to wind down our hour with Paula from Team Rubicon. She's going to be telling us all about Team Rubicon, who they are, and how you can volunteer with them. They're a wonderful disaster response organization. So we have some great guests on today's webinar. So now I'm going to introduce Gina, and she is from Ready West Virginia, which is a program of Volunteer West Virginia. The goal of Ready West Virginia is to promote preparedness throughout the state, and she's going to be giving us some great, easy, practical tips for everyday preparedness. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Dana. So today we're going to talk about some basic steps on how to be prepared before a disaster. So why is it important to be prepared? Well, because disasters don't always announce themselves. Even if you get weather warnings, you may not have enough time to be prepared. Also, first responders make up only a small portion of the population. There's limited personnel. They may not be able to get to you. Roads may be blocked and trees down. And they also will be addressing more critical needs. So you need to be ready to take care of yourself and your family. Also, during a disaster, critical services may be impacted, such as utilities may be down. If the power is out, you may not be able to get money from your ATM or pump gas. Roads or infrastructure might be damaged, so you want to be prepared. And lastly, natural disasters are increasing in the United States and are becoming more expensive. So anything can happen at any time. The best thing you can do to protect the things that you love is to take the steps now to be prepared for emergencies and disasters. So how can you be better prepared? There are 4 steps you can take. Number 1, be informed. Number 2, make a plan. 3, build a kit. And lastly, be involved. Step 1, be informed. You want to know the hazards that are in your area. Think about where you live. Are you near a body of water, a creek, or a river? Does it get flooded easily? Do you live near like a chemical plant or industry, or maybe even a railroad or a high traffic highway where there could be an incident or an accident? And we're all vulnerable to severe storms and power outages. So how will you get alerts and stay informed? Well, there are public emergency alert systems that go over television and radio. There are also opt-in alerts. I suggest that folks would reach out to their county emergency management. Each county has one. Find out what alert system they use to notify the community. They may have opt-in alerts where you can get texts or emails. Also follow them on social media. And you could also, one of the common platforms is Nixle. If you go to nixle.com and type in your zip code, you can find out if that platform covers your area. So there's a lot of different ways that you can stay informed. For instance, Kanawha County has KC Ready, which is an app that you get emergency alerts and other information. Weather alerts. So know the difference between the 3 different types of weather alerts. An advisory is less serious. It might occur. A watch is a possible occurrence. Location and timing is still uncertain, but it's something that you need to keep track of. And a warning is the most deadly. It poses a threat to life or property. It's imminent, and you need to take protective action. So a quick question, is this statement true or false? So in the chat box, type in true or false if you think that during a hurricane or a severe storm, you should open a few windows to relieve pressure from your home, creating less structural damage. Is this a true or false statement? So I'll just give people a few seconds to think about that and respond. So, okay, false, mostly falses so far. So Christina, go ahead and give us the answer. It is false. So you're up on the with the literature here, because windows and doors should be tightly shut. Any air that gets in the home can create indoor pressure and upwards towards the ceiling or roof and cause damage or collapse. So no matter what type of severe weather hazard is happening, there's some basic tips that you should follow. It's obviously you should stay indoors, bring your pets inside, secure outdoor objects, especially if there's high wind warnings, or bring them into your garage. Also, you want to keep your trees and shrubs well trimmed so as to protect your property. Keep doors and windows closed. And if there's high wind warnings, tornado or hurricane warnings, you want to take shelter in an inner room that has no windows, like a bathroom or a closet, or take shelter in your basement. And you want to be prepared for power outages. Just back real quick, the National Weather Service has a great seasonal tips for each season. If you go to weather.gov, safety campaign /safety campaign, Christina, if you have, yeah, there it is. Great, thank you. Great tips for seasonal preparedness. Next. So some power outage prep tips. Keep your flashlight and batteries on hand. Keep extra batteries in their own container so you know that they're fresh. Have a full tank of gas if possible, because in a power outage, pumps may be down. It's also a good place to charge your phone. You want to unplug electronic equipment to protect your equipment from power outages. And as far as food safety goes, you can keep food safe in the fridge for up to 4 hours and 48 hours in the freezer. Beyond that, you can use a cooler or your bathtub or a washer with put ice in it to store your food. You want to have a backup plan for any power-dependent medical equipment. And if you have or use a gas-powered generator, make sure to operate it outside, away from your home or garage, to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Another good tip is to know how to shut your utilities off. Now, this is something you should contact your utility company to learn when and how. But it's a good idea for all the family or members in your household to know where those shut-off valves or switches are. Tag them, learn the correct way to shut off when asked to do so by officials, and share those instructions with your family. Step 2, make a plan. You want to write down and keep the following information handy. Your family and emergency contacts, school and work contacts, important information like your insurance, policy numbers and contacts, a list of medications, allergies, or any medical equipment that you might have, or any other special needs. It's good to designate a meetup place out of town or away from your home in case you can't return home. And also designate or pre-identify an out-of-town contact. This is in case if there's a disaster that impacts communications and you can't communicate with each other, you can contact that out-of-state person to let know that you are safe. Another tip is to put in case of emergency contact in your phone. You can keep it on your locked phone screen. There's a phone set in your settings. If you go to lock phone screen, you can enter that information. So, for instance, if you can't communicate, you're in an accident, or first responders are there, they can see on your phone screen who to contact if you can't communicate for yourself. And there's a link that for the family emergency plan that we have that's fillable that can help you enter all this information. Simple and easy to download. When you're making your plan, think about whether you're going to have to shelter in place or evacuate. It's also a good idea to learn about the plans at your school and your workplace. True or false? Homeowners and rental insurance covers flood damage. Put it in the chat if you think this is true or false. Does homeowners and rental insurance cover flood damage? Okay, Christina. We've got a smart group today. Yes, it's false. You must get separate flood insurance coverage. You can learn more about flood insurance, whether you need it or not, and why it's important to have it at floodsmart.gov. It's got a wealth of information. Step 3, you want to build your emergency kit. So if you want to put some things, items in the chat that you think you should include in your kit, that would be great. So obviously the first couple things are food and water. I'll talk about that while you enter other items that should be included in your emergency kit. You want to have at least a 3-day supply minimum, if not a full week, of non-perishable food like granola, bars, peanut butter, crackers. And the guide tip for water is you need a gallon of water per person per day, even children. Medications or other medical needs you need to think about. Pets, infants and seniors may have special needs. And what have we got so far in the chat box? Okay, blankets and flashlights. That's right. Go ahead. What else? Christina, you can go ahead and fill in the rest. A first aid kit. Did anyone think about that? You want to keep that family emergency plan in your kit. Paper goods like paper plates, cups, and utensils. That's in case you have to grab it and go. Personal hygiene items, hand sanitizer, and wipes. You might want to put a little bit of cash in there because you may not be able to access the ATMs. Manual can opener, mobile phone charger, and face mask to protect you against any airborne contaminants. So these are just a few of the things to think about when you're putting together your kit. I was just looking, there's duct tape is a good idea, and some sheeting. That's if there was some kind of a airborne contamination where you'd have to cover your windows and doorways. Plastic and duct tape. Okay, next. So think about when you're making your kits for different locations. It's really important to have an emergency car kit, especially if you are traveling any distance between home and work. Also think about updating those kits twice a year, checking them out, replace any expired items, and don't store your batteries in the flashlight because they can corrode. Keep them in their own packets. That way you'll know they'll be fresh and ready to go. And twice a year, the good time to do it is when you turn your clocks back or forward. It's also a good idea, a good time to check your smoke alarms during that time. And if you want to learn more about what you should include in your emergency kit, you can go to ready.gov/kit. And smoke alarms, talking about smoke alarms, they save lives. This is just a quick little illustration to show you where you should have them. Regardless if you're renting or you own your own home, you should have smoke alarms in your household. They should be on every level of the home and be in bedrooms, living room, hallway, and outside the kitchen, at least 10 feet away from the stove. And you don't want to place them near vents, ceiling fans, or windows because they may not work properly. Carbon monoxide alarms are placed in the same areas that your smoke alarm does. Carbon monoxide, you can't smell it or see it. So that's a really important one to have in the house. And lastly, be involved. So you want to train and practice. Train your plan with your family, do a fire drill. Learn some life-saving skills like take a CPR or first aid class, or invite a first responder to come and talk to your community group or neighborhood association about safety. You can also learn how to use a fire extinguisher from the local fire department. You can call them, and they usually have training opportunities. And lastly, if you want to volunteer and you're interested in volunteering during disasters, you can check out our website at ready.wv.gov/volunteer to learn more about the different ways you can volunteer. And like Dana said earlier today, we have two great organizations who respond during disasters, and you'll learn a lot from them about how you can volunteer with their groups. So to get started, if you visit our website at ready.wv.gov, to get started with your personal preparedness, we have a toolkit. Click resources and you'll find our personal prep toolkit. That will include the family emergency plan, an emergency kit list, and other prep tips.
Thanks, Gina. That was awesome. I've heard this presentation a few times, but every time I get a new idea. So I would encourage all of you to think of maybe at least one preparedness tip that you're going to implement this year. I always like to refresh my memory on how to turn off my utilities because I could see that being a big situation. So that's what I'm going to take away from this year's message. And I hope you all have a preparedness tip that you're going to take as well. So thank you, Gina. You did a wonderful job. And now I'm really looking forward to introducing Krista Farley from the American Red Cross Appalachia region. And she's worked at the Red Cross for as long as I've known her. She loves it. And she's going to be telling us all about pet preparedness tips. So go ahead. You can hop on, Krista.
Thanks so much, Dana. And I just want to note for the smoke alarms that Gina just mentioned, the Red Cross will install free smoke alarms in your home. We've been doing this since 2014, and we've saved over 100 lives in our area because people that we had installed smoke alarms and they had actually had a fire. So you can call your local Red Cross or call our office here in Charleston, and we'll get you scheduled. Or if you have clients that need that, we go in and install those and do fire preparedness education. And, we also do some other, depending on the time of the year, some winter weather safety or flood safety information and, give them that opportunity as well. So I didn't want to miss a plug for that. For anybody that needs a smoke alarm, we can install those alarms in their home free of charge. So thank you all for having me today. We're really going to talk about pet preparedness and first aid. Thanks, Dana, for putting that in the chat. I'm also going to put in a minute our website where a lot of this information can be found, so you don't have to worry about writing it down or trying to catch it all. So we will start off by talking about the Red Cross and our mission. The American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. So that is what we do every day. Across the Central Appalachia region covers 77 counties, all of West Virginia, and every county adjacent to West Virginia in Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, and Maryland. So we are out serving people every day, whether it be flooding like what we had in the Eastern Canal Valley. 2 weeks ago, we were there on the ground with them through the Labor Day holiday, really to be able to provide them that help and hope and make sure they were taken care of. So, but we want to talk about our furry friends today. So we have top tips for keeping your pet safe during a disaster. This is one of my favorite Red Cross photos. It's an old one. It comes out of the archives, but it's certainly one of my faves. So it's not safe for you if it's not safe for you to stay at home during an emergency, it's not safe for them either. So you need to take your pets with you, and you need to make sure that you have supplies for your pet in your emergency kit or assemble an emergency kit for your pet. I like theirs to be a little bit separate, so I know it's just grab and go. And when I grab them, I grab mine's in a backpack for them. And then make an evacuation plan for you and your pets. You have to know which hotels do not accept animals as guests, or know which ones there are brands that certainly will take cats and dogs. So other than service animals, of course. And then shelters, like what we happened in Eastern Canal the other day, we were great to have partners like the Canal Charleston Humane Society that really opened up a pet shelter for anybody that was displaced, that needed a place for those pets to go. So we usually work in conjunction with animal shelters and local pet organizations to make sure that we can, offer something like that for them. So make an emergency plan, just like Gina was talking about for you. Make one for your pet. We'll go in more detail about what needs to be in your emergency kit. I love this. Take a photo of you with your pet in case they get lost, and keep copies of vaccination records handy, because if you're going to go into them opening a pet shelter, you want to make sure that your dog or cat are protected. So make sure you have their vaccination records on there. And then we'll talk more about our pet first aid app in a few minutes. A selfie with your pet. Yes, Gina. So to create that emergency plan, we just talked about know a safe place to take your pets. And also along your evacuation route, when you're mapping out, if something would happen, which way would I go? I can tell you, I live in Cross Lanes, so I would go the back way and not go through Cross Lanes, because anybody that's ever visited Cross Lanes know the traffic is awful. So you never want to evacuate that way. So know which route is best way for you to get out of your community, out of your neighborhood, and then call ahead for reservations if you know when you may need to evacuate. You can go ahead. The apps are pretty easy now too, to be able to go ahead and plan your route and have some opportunities along the way. And ask also if no pet policies could be waived in an emergency. They absolutely sometimes will do that as well. So our shelters not normally cannot accept pets because of the health and safety concerns and other considerations, but service animals, of course, with people with disabilities are always a welcome. So know which friends, relatives, boarding facilities, animal shelters, or vets can take care of your animals in emergency, and prepare a list with phone numbers. And although your animals may be more comfortable together, be prepared to house your pets separately. You just have to think of all scenarios and reasons why you might have to split them up. And include your pets in evacuation drills so they become used to entering and traveling in their carriers calmly, or being able to get in the car and be able to get out quickly. And then make sure that your pets' vaccinations are current, and that all dogs and cats are wearing collars that are securely fastened with up-to-date identification. Many pet shelters require proof of current vaccinations to reduce the spread of disease. And consider having your pet microchipped by your veterinarian. So in case they get if in case they get separated from you, they can also use that microchip to find them. So building your pet emergency kit. Here are the following items that need to be in a sturdy, easy to carry container. You can use a cooler, you can use a bag, a backpack, like I said, a Rubbermaid, just something that you can grab and go. Sturdy leashes, harness, and or carriers to transport the pet safely and ensure that they can't escape. Food, drinking water, bowls, cat litter, pan, and a manual can opener if your pet eats canned food. I will say the bowls I ordered, we have a new puppy, and I got the collapsible bowls in the water bottle for him, and they work out really well because they're really easy to carry, and you can just, they all collapse down, one for water and one for food. So a first aid kit, and medical records we've already talked about. Make sure those are in waterproof containers. You can buy on Amazon some waterproof paper storage. So when Gina talked about all your critical documents, birth certificates, insurance policies, all of that, you want to make sure all of those are in waterproof pockets and containers. Current photo we have talked about, of course. And so since so many pets look alike, this will help eliminate mistaken identity and confusion. You will know who your pet is, but that way you can distribute that photo as well in case they happen to get lost or separated. And information on feeding schedules, medical conditions, behavior problems, and the name and number of your vet in case they have to be fostered or you have to board them or they have to stay in that pet shelter. And then pet beds and toys if they're easily transportable. And make sure you have those bottles of water. Like we suggest 1 gallon per person per day. make sure you have those for the pups as well, or the cats. So hurricane, we've been hearing a lot. We've done certainly a lot of responses. We have 2 emergency response vehicles now heading up north in response to the new hurricane that is anticipating to hit the East Coast. So what do you put in that hurricane emergency kit? That leash, that picture, that collar with the ID tag, any medication your pets take, make sure you have that medication, just like you need to have your medication. You need to make sure that your pets have your that medication as well. And this is really important. We talked about home fires. Help emergency workers find your pets. The ASPCA recommends using rescue alert stickers to let people know if there are pets inside your home. And make sure they're visible to rescue workers. Make sure you put them on a front window or door. And then it includes the type and number of pets in your household and your vet's phone number. But if you evacuate with your pets, write evacuated across the sticker so rescue workers don't waste their time looking for them. I will say that was one thing that was pretty alarming and reminded me of Katrina and the visuals we saw out of that. Up in Winifred area, they had marked the houses as they searched them because that water came up so fast. So they do the same thing with your animals if they think they're there. So that way, just mark evacuated on there so they know they don't have to look for them. So the other thing is helping pets recover after an emergency. Your pet's behavior may change dramatically after a disaster, maybe become aggressive or defensive. Be aware of their well-being and protect them from hazards to ensure the safety of other people and the animals. So watch them close and keep them under your direct control because you don't know if the fences are damaged, gates are damaged, power's out, your electric fence doesn't work. And pets may become disoriented, particularly if disaster has affected the scent markers that they normally allow them to find their way home. So you want to make sure you keep them on that leash, but also realize that they will definitely be disoriented if that happens. And be aware of hazards at nose and paw or hoof level, particularly debris, spilled chemicals, fertilizer, and other substances that might not be seen or dangerous to humans. And then, of course, consult your vet if any behavior problems persist. So this is a little flyer, just what will your pet get into next. We're going to talk a little bit more about the first aid app, but that kind of looks like one of my pups there because he gets into everything. So if we could put a cone on him all the time, it might be a little easier. So the American Red Cross has a pet first aid app, and that helps dog and cat owners provide emergency care until vet assistance is available. You can learn the healthy signs of a dog or cat so they can recognize health problems early. So is all you have to do is look for American Red Cross in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or you can just go to redcross.org/mobile apps. And there's videos, interactive quizzes, simple step-by-step advice. So it really gives you an opportunity to learn your pet first aid. Here are just a couple of screenshots. You can see the dogs and cats pieces of that, how it talks about the different things, allergic reactions, different things that can happen. And then it goes into more detail about how to treat those and how to maintain your pet safety. Just a couple of features, and again, you can find all of this on our websites. You can go between the dog and the cat features. They're simple and simple step-by-step instructions. It gives you advice on administering medicine, behavioral help, disaster situations, as we talked about, early warning sign checker for preventive care. You can put your vet's phone number, contact information in there. You can learn first aid for over 25 common pet situations through text, video, and images, and help to identify toxic substances. Locate your nearest emergency vet hospital, and it also has those pet-friendly hotels we talked about earlier. Respond to pet emergencies on how-to videos of common and stressful emergency situations, including size-specific CPR techniques. So you can also put your pet's profile in there for each one of your pets and those vet appointments that are so important. And they also have interactive quizzes, and you can earn badges, and it's just a lot of fun while you're learning how to take care of your furry friends. Top features, here's just a little snapshot. We talked about the animal hospital locator, how to incorporate them in your emergency plan, and your pet profile for storing their ID. We talked about the tags, the tracker for the microchip. So all of that can go in that app. So now we're going to talk a little bit, now that we've taken care of your pets, on how you can help. There are very different ways. We do a lot of different things. There are 5 lines of service in the Red Cross. We have disaster services, blood services, service to the armed forces, our international services, and then our training services, our first aid and CPR classes. So you can donate, you can give blood, you can sponsor a blood drive if your organization would like to do that. You can go on our website and find that information, and then volunteer, and then get trained and certified. We've seen so many instances of cardiac arrest. People need to know CPR, and we can certainly help with that. So a little bit about our volunteering. We have a fall campaign. We were talking about the best things about fall. So one of our fall campaigns is our volunteer campaign, Fall into Service. And so these are just a couple of our urgent volunteer needs. Our disaster action team, we respond to home fires in this area every single day. Not only do we do larger scale, like the flooding that happened 2 weeks ago, or the hurricanes, or Hawaii and the wildfires, but home fires affect this area, particularly West Virginia, every single day. And we have volunteers that go out day or night to be there, to be that comfort for those people that have lost everything. When they're standing on the street with usually no shoes on, we're there to comfort them and to make sure that they have a place to stay, they have food to eat, and they have clothes to wear. Our disaster health and mental health, anybody that has that background can come and help with the Red Cross. You can do that virtually or in person. We do that with any of our disaster clients that need a little bit extra assistance. We also do the medical, if nursing or any other medical professionals, because we replace, through our disaster action team and our casework, replace everyone's medications, any equipment that they need that's been, destroyed. We make sure they get all of that back, and help them recover with all of those materials and life-saving medications and needs they may have. And then our disaster recovery teams help them through that recovery process. We also have our service to the armed forces that work with our military personnel and veterans. So we have the Hero Care Network, and then our local VA hospitals. We work very closely with them. And then, of course, our blood services. We have blood donor ambassadors that are the greeters and the people that help in the blood drives. We do have a very special volunteer position in Huntington and it's only in Huntington, but it transports the blood. So that's a very essential piece. Red Cross, 90% of the work that we carry out in our humanitarian mission is done by volunteers. So that cannot happen without those people that choose to volunteer with us every single day. So whether you have a few hours every day, once a week, or a month, we can certainly have an opportunity for you to make a difference. So the great thing about becoming a volunteer, you get to meet new people, you get to make a difference in your community, be a part of a team, and give back when others need it the most. You can work locally in your own community, you can work across the state, or you can work across the country. We have a saying in the Red Cross: down the street, across the country, and around the world, and we truly mean that. We've had people deploy to Guam, we've had people deploy to Hawaii, just to be there when people are in need. We train everyone, we get everyone over there. They get to see and make an impact right there when it's the hardest hit areas. So ways to do that is to go to redcross.org, volunteer, and fill out the application. We do a background check on everyone that volunteers with us, and you can get started on your training right away. We have people that will talk to you and see what volunteer position is right for you. We have quizzes that give you an opportunity to ask questions or do the quiz to see where you think you should fit in. Or you can just call any one of us and we'd be more than happy to talk to you all. So thank you all very much for having me today. And let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Krista. That was a wonderful presentation, and I'm excited that you have a new puppy. So congratulations on that as well. And I hope Krista's presentation got you thinking about pet preparedness and interested in volunteering for the Red Cross. If you want to volunteer in a really organized, structured organization where you're going to help a lot of people and fill your heart up, consider volunteering with the Red Cross because they're a wonderful group. So Krista, thank you so much. That was awesome. So,
Thanks, Dana.
You're welcome. So now I'm going to hand it on to Paula. She is with Team Rubicon. I remember Team Rubicon from the 2016 flood. They did a ton of work and they're still doing work throughout West Virginia. So I'm really excited to introduce Paula, and welcome, Paula.
All right, thank you for having me. Next slide, please. Our mission is pretty straightforward. A veteran-led humanitarian organization. We are more than veterans, but we are a veteran-led organization. We were founded by two Marines, veterans, went into Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. They were home watching their televisions while this event was taking place and wanted to help and realized that as veterans, they had the skills necessary to go into that environment. Our name, Team Rubicon, team, obviously, we are a team, but the Rubicon is from the original Julius Caesar reference of point of no return. When the fellows Jake Wood went into Haiti, they had to go through the Dominican Republic and they crossed the river, and that was their crossing the Rubicon. So in those 12 and a half, almost 13 years, we are almost up to 1,000 operations worldwide. We've deployed almost 21,000 people, a lot of training, a lot of work orders completed, and quite a bit of savings to our communities. We are more than just a disaster response organization. Again, over the years, we've grown and changed. So we do mitigation, we do some preparedness work. Response is probably our bread and butter, and then more into the recovery phases now moving forward. Just a quick overview. Again, lots of things changed over this decade with the earthquake in Haiti. We moved to domestic operations in 2011. Hurricane Sandy basically was the turning point where not just Team Rubicon, but a lot of organizations woke up to the fact that they needed to be a little more organized and structured. We had a saying that perhaps we were cowboys back in the day, but we are a little more focused now. And again, changes through the last couple years. Obviously, Hurricane Harvey was huge in 2017, and Hurricane Dorian was one of our interesting adventures in the Bahamas, where we didn't just do medical operations, but we did our core capabilities, muck outs, heavy equipment. In 2020, the world kind of took a turn with the beginning of the COVID-19 epidemic, I'll call it, and Team Rubicon had to change their focus. And we went into a lot of food service support across the nation, serving meals, helping with warehouse work at a lot of the food pantries. We had a Neighbors Helping Neighbors program where you literally would just go help somebody in your local community. And then, of course, we went into the vaccination support. Up front, it was the testing support, then, of course, the vaccination support. And we were in the Navajo Nation 3 times, helping them with their medical response. And then in 2021, 22, we had yet another interesting situation with the Afghan families relocating to the United States. And Team Rubicon jumped in and helped with the management of goods and food and actually setting up homes and working on the housing for the Afghan families who had moved basically here to the United States. So we have over 160,000 members. Like I said, we were started by veterans, but now we are 51% veterans, 7% active military, and then the rest of us, what we call kick-ass civilians. So you don't necessarily have to be a veteran to join. And then we have 1,600 or so volunteer leaders, and that really is the core of how we function and get things done at state level. This is a real quick overview of our core capabilities. I will go into a little bit more detail on the next couple charts. So in the field, we've started fairly new last year with route clearance, where we pre-stage chainsaw operators, sawyers, and heavy equipment operators. We put them in locations prior to hurricanes or events that we know, and they literally go out as soon as it is safe and start clearing the roads so that the other emergency responders, emergency services can get out. Basically, it's a skid steer and a couple chainsaw operators, and they just head out down the road and move whatever's in their way. Debris removal and expedient home repair, that really is what Team Rubicon's historically known for. The mucking and gutting of a house after a flood, moving personal effects to the curb. That's really has been our bread and butter up until fairly recently. So some of the newer points are damage assessments. I know that the Red Cross is just always out there right off the get-go doing damage assessments. That's awesome. But at the request of emergency manager, we also could come in and assist with that. We do emergency operation support. So if a county or a local jurisdiction is basically stands up their emergency op center after a couple days, or worse, a couple weeks, those people are exhausted. They've been on duty 24/7 for some number of days. We can step in and help with that support. We are actually this week heading off to Maui to work on the Maui County EOC for them. Volunteer management, a lot of times local jurisdictions just don't know what to do with all the wonderful volunteers who show up on their doorstep. We can help with that. Domestic medical support, like I said, we were involved with the COVID vaccination. And then the exercise facilitation, again, that's fairly new. That's anything from managing or help facilitating tabletop exercises to even full-scale exercises. If last fall, we helped with the West Virginia Emergency Management Division on their full-scale exercise that they held at Timberland Ski Resort. And then internationally, we have a medical team and we have WASH professionals. We actually were the first NGO in North America to be verified by the World Health Organization. Again, those people go all over the world. Right now, we have a team on the way to Morocco. And we still have people in Ukraine who are doing mostly training and education. We're not on the front lines by any stretch of the imagination, but we're in the background providing medical training and support. So now that it is fall and everyone has their lovely fall activities lined up, you can watch on Roku channel 13 episode Team Rubicon series. It's hosted by Kevin O'Connor. He was with famous for the home rebuilding shows, but they put together a pretty nice episode or series rather, kind of interesting. Can learn all about us on these fall and winter evenings at home. So basically, you can join us at teamrubiconusa.org, and any information you need, or you can get a hold of me. That's not a problem. I'm here in West Virginia.
Thanks, Paula. That was awesome. How long have you been involved with Team Rubicon?
I joined in 2015, but as you mentioned, the very first operation I went on was in Nicholas County, West Virginia, for the floods. We name all of our operations, and that was called Operation Country Roads.
Are you a veteran, Paula?
No, I'm not. I'm a kick-ass civilian.
I love these kick-ass civilians. Why? I mean, that's quite a while to be volunteering. Why do you enjoy volunteering with Team Rubicon so much?
I'm retired, and I discovered that the skills I had from my professional career fit very nicely into Team Rubicon. And so I'm still willing and able to get out and about and help. And so it's just feels good to be able to help our local communities in West Virginia and then around the world.
Oh, thank you. Paula, it was really great hearing about you. I just wanted to ask quickly, what was your career and how do you volunteer specifically for Team Rubicon?
I was a project manager for a large computer company. And so now I'm a planner, which basically is project managing. And I do things such as the emergency ops center support that we mentioned, or I'm on command staff when we have operations. So I'm a planner at heart.
You are a planner at heart. And I think it's really neat how you were able to transfer those skills from your job to a volunteering and helping out during disasters. It's a whole new chapter of life.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Paula. That was really great. If you all are interested in learning more about Team Rubicon, I put their website in the chat box, or you can reach out to Paula. And I'm going to wrap up, but if anyone has any quick questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat box. I'll read it out loud. If you have a question for Gina, Krista, or Paula, you can paste it in there now. In the meantime, be sure to complete the feedback survey. I'll see if I can copy and paste that and put that in the chat box for you all. And be sure to register for our November grant writing webinar. You're not going to want to miss it. And then join us in December for some holiday wellness. So we are so grateful for all of you. I can't believe we had 31 people and you all stuck on for the entire presentation. So I think that's a testament of how important this information is and what an awesome job that Gina, Krista, and Paula did. So we really appreciate it. I'll give you all just one more second for questions. And if not, we'll see you all in November.
I'm not hearing any questions, Dana. I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. See you soon.
Bye-bye.